So welcome back to Room 1-on-1. Wee bit different for this one. We're 5 days away from the next Huns match. This Saturday, 12:30 at Celtic Park. Now, I usually have a Tim-minded guest to do my preview, but I'm hearing that folk don't fucking like to. Tim's talking about the Huns. So we're doing things a wee bit different this time. I'm going to introduce a young man from Belfast, and I'm going to have a wee natter with him, and we'll get into some chat about Saturday. So it's with that, I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Belfast Balladeer, Matt O'Reilly, to the show. Well, Matt, how are you, buddy?
Good, mate. How are you?
Aye. A bit delicate for yesterday, but these things are sent to test us, bro.
100%. You not go sober? No.
Was that?
Did you not go sober yesterday?
No. I fell at the first hurdle as per, mate. Right, so to give a wee bit of backstory here, Matt came into my life last year. As folk know, I'm on the committee of the Vogue CSC, and due to a mix-up with our usual Paddy's Day events, we've decided to have an end-of-season party this year. Hopefully a trophy weekend, obviously, as well. So I was tasked with organising the bands and event, and we'll get the Glencairn booked for the 26th of May, and I wanted to have a couple of acts. So we booked Gary Ogg, the famous Gary Ogg, and I wanted something different. So through Marty Flynn, and then through Jerry Carlisle, I ended up with you, Matt O'Reilly. So so there's my free plug for the do. Get your tickets, £15 a ticket. It'll be a great night. But anyway, right. So let's get to the crux of the matter, right? Let's tell us about you. Who is Matt O'Reilly? How are you a Celtic fan? What's your story, kid?
Just all the gear. I've been Celtic fan my whole life, like me and you. Just through my dad, I started playing the music. Initially, when I started the music, never touched the Celtic songs for a wee while. You know, it was all the generic covers, and then just as time went on, I just sort of delved more and more into it, more and more into the Irish folk, the rabble, all the stuff that's associated with Celtic, the ballads from, way back when up to now, and it sort of snowballed, and then got good friends for a fellow over here, over in Belfast called Jerry Ogg. And he sort of took me under his wing to the point, I sort of said to him, he does like the Rebel Sunday, and I don't know if you heard the Rock Bar in Belfast. He's like there being a man in there, and I sort of went to him with it because I was loving it more and more, and I sort of went to him one day and says like, I want to do that as well. Do you know what I mean? And he sort of took me under his wing.
We'll come back to that bit in a second, right? So let's touch on your music thing, right? So I was doing a wee flyer for the do that I just spoke about there, and I kind of stuck in your name. And you've been playing music. You've been playing music for a fair bit now, eh? So what was your lead into that? Has music always been something you've been mad into? Did you try it yourself? Like, did you try and kick in doing your own stuff, and then did it just kind of progress to like be in bands and stuff like that?
Yeah. I was in bands growing up, and always sang and played the guitar, and dabbled with a bit of original stuff, and then sort of get into the cover scene. And when you get into that, it's sort of if you sort of rattle at it, it sort of snowballs to the point where, and it just took off. It wasn't through like any, it was hard work. Over here, it's saturated. It's the same as Glasgow. It's the same as anywhere. It's a saturated market. And I always find that, hard work trumps all. I've done my fair share of playing the bars with 2 people on it, 3 people on it, do you know what I mean? And not saying I'm anywhere, I'm still playing the bars with 2 and 3 people on it from time to time. But what I mean is, I've been doing that, and I'm just, I've travelled a length from Belfast, Ireland, anywhere. At the beginning, when I was trying to get gigs, I was basically going anywhere that would put me on. I was travelling, going to Dublin, going to Donegal's,
right.
And slowly but surely, I've sort of maintained a bit of a foothold in Belfast in terms of that there's a fair sort of crux of bars in here that sort of that were loyal to me, and I'm loyal to them, and they book me regularly, and it just sort of came from there. But yeah, growing up, I'm always like a big Oasis fan. Growing up, big big Beatles fan. Arctic Monkeys are my sort of generic band, and they all sort of formed the crux of me trying to do the tunes, and
Right.
then that's sort of how it snowballed. That's how it kicked off.
And I suppose now, like you say, you're a Celtic man anyway, so you know the tunes and all that. And it's, in my experience, I mean, I'm just 10 year older than you, so I've kind of saw the progression of Irish bands and Irish singers and how it's came basically into the core again. Do you know what I mean? Because back in Glasgow, we had, so you had Death and Rye, you had the Blarney Pilgrims, and then you kind of kicked on, and Ed Ogg started, and then it's becoming more and more. I mean, some of the singers you get nowadays, absolutely brilliant. And as you say, it's a good market, but the demand is there. Eh?
Yeah, demand's definitely there, and I'm very grateful to, like, see, not saying it because I'm on your podcast, but you sort of reaching out to me and saying, we'd love to get you over to Glasgow, put me in touch for certain people to sort of help me out that way. I'm grateful, and a lot of the bands that you get, the likes of Shay Doolan, the likes of Emer, the likes of Irish Brigade, the likes of Gary himself, like, couldn't be nicer to me, and and they don't know me from, and then there's a boy. You ever heard of the band Erigal? Erigal, big man from there. He was on that main Grace one.
Was it? Erigal booked until they had a bit of the rain problems.
Yeah. But the demand's definitely there. But I think what's good, certainly in my experience about that sort of scene, if you like. Only talking my own experience. Like, anyone that I've bumped into that is doing the same sort of stuff have been brand new with me, and the likes of Shay, the likes of, I was in Berlin there with Shay, and such a nice boy, like, and he's hitting heights that are, he's in the stratosphere now, and even when I supported Gary over in Belfast, just a really nice guy, do you know what I mean? And it's all that. What I'm trying to say is, like, the demand's definitely there, but there's a lot of good people in the actual scene itself. Do you know what I mean? And they're, and for me, that's just as good as playing the gigs, but you're sort of supporting all these other people, and you're sort of it's good to be a part of it, and it's going well for me at the minute. So long may it continue.
Fantastic. You touched on it. They says you've got your regular haunts. So this give you a wee name check out of the boys. I mean, you play in Nancy's quite a bit.
Yeah. Nancy Mulligan's, again, that's another part that I couldn't be more thankful for. When they were opening up, one of the owners, Sean Duffy, gave me a ring. I didn't know him from Adam. He says, "Look, give me a couple of gigs." And I've had a residency ever since, and a lot of. You like yourself, but a lot of, them boys that own that, a lot of people that have sort of contacted me saying, "Oh, can we get you with this? Jerry Carlisle put me on there. Can we get you with this? Sean Duffy put me on there." And that speaks volumes of them. And the fact that they sort of secure me in terms of, it's 2 minutes from my house, and they've given me, they're always giving me first option in terms of the big gigs, the Celtic Rangers, the Easter Sundays, the big gigs in the sort of the Irish music calendar. They have me straight in there, and they give me a residency, and it's my main haunt. And I honestly would do anything for that bar and those people that run it, because they're genuine good people. Another one, the Felons, same again. I only started playing there about a year ago, but it got me in, and regular work, and that's all I can ask for and be thankful for, and they're getting it again. They're coming to me, giving me, a lot of gigs, the big gigs they're putting me on, and they're showing. It takes a lot of these bars, they get big crowds, they get, I see it as an element of trust in me as well, They're boys gonna, like, Paddy's Day and the Fallons are hundreds and hundreds of people, and they're on my own, with the guitar and the stamper, like, and I'm going, you stop back and you reflect a bit and you say, these boys trust me here, to keep this place rocking, get this place bumping, and it's sometimes surreal. I have to sort of like step back a wee bit at times and say, I'm a lucky boy to do what I love, and see, even the weekend there, and tell me if I'm wrong on here, but she doesn't let me talk in the house, but um, even the weekend there, the Paddy's weekend, I was absolutely exhausted come the last gig, and the fans did too, and I was like, I had to slap myself in the face and say, what, getting booked to do what you love, wise up to yourself. Do you know what I mean? And you just power through, like. But the PD as well. It's a bar up that sort of neck of the woods, and
I know it well, mate.
Yeah, and again, boys are, they're one of the boys that runs it, and I'll tell you a story. Like, one of my first gigs in it, I sort of went in and was doing the generic stuff, just sort of chopping and changing, doing a bit of everything. And one of the big guys that runs it came up to me, and I thought he can make a beeline for me, across the bar. And I said, what's going on? He says, get the Celtic tunes on, big man. And I was looking around, it was like a couple of old couples, couple of, I was going, really? 100%. I started playing Willie Mealy and the place exploded. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I was going, it's one of them ones you're like, never judge a big band's cover. That way. Like. But no, those bars, and another wee one in Belfast and Glen have given me a residency, and that's more the generic stuff, but good. Just genuine. I'm blessed in my life, in my musical life. I'm surrounded by genuinely good people. Do you know what I mean?
Punters will look hefty. Right, so that's you kind of talking about the home scene and all that. So, like I said, we got in contact with each other, and you obviously accepted your invitation to come over for your do. But you actually come over recently and you played Gracie's, and you knocked out the park to the point that Gracie's have booked you up again for a couple of gigs that same weekend. But you were doing in England, So let's talk about your trips down to England. I think it was Nottingham you were in London, and you touched on it there. Tell me about your trip to Berlin as well.
Yeah, so Nottingham, the guys from Kelly, Santa Ponza, and Leffing Badges, they got me over for the wee place in Nottingham, Greyfriars. Right. And the thing that blew me away about Greyfriars was the boy picked me up, Dixie picked me up, and he says, we'll get you in. And I was going, Celtic, a Celtic supporting contingent in Nottingham. I just couldn't see it. So, got there, place was absolutely one of the best gigs I've ever had in my life, honestly. Fantastic. And it was a bit surreal because the thick English accents, these boys, and I don't mean, fair weather fans, it just sort of watch Celtic and sort of proper hardcores, proper loved every song. They were, knew their stuff, and it was great. It was a different experience to get over to Nottingham, and I was, again, brilliant booking, and sort of touched, boys says, get me back over for another. I was actually due to go over this weekend, but there was a wee bit of mix up with my bookings, but I'll definitely be over there again. Good. And the same ones, Leifling Badges booked me for Berlin, and again, it was a sort of last minute booking. It was over with Emer Clacken and G.A. Doolan. But the Berlin gig, I still, to this day, best gig of my life. It was incredible, I sort of, going over, I put a picture of my passport on the Twitter and says, I sort of wrote something generic, like, after fulfill a lifelong dream, playing a European away day, so blessed, see you all in Berlin. And I thought nothing of it, and put my phone in flight mode and get on the plane. When I got off a plane in Berlin, it had like 1,500 likes and people messaging me, I'll come and see you, I'll come and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? So I was classing the gig itself after, doing the Rebel songs, doing the Celtic songs, I come off it there. I come off it very emotional. Do you know what I mean? And I know a lot of people, it'll never get bored of me. A lot of people sort of, this is their bread and butter. They do it over and over and over again, and they can do it in their sleep. But I'll never start. I'm still at the point, some gigs like that, I'm treating them like, this is my last ever gig. Do you know what I mean? And just, it's pure love for it, and pure love. And I mean, doing the songs for us, the Celtic songs, but, I got quite emotional after the Berlin gig because it was just, words can't describe it. I'm sure you saw a couple of videos on Twitter and stuff. And, but it was funny because I think I was chatting to you when we were in Glasgow about this. I got off the plane in Berlin and just shows I'm still sort of up and coming in this scene. I'm still getting there. Like, I got on the train in Berlin and I sat behind a group of 4 fellas who were just chatting away, and I was sitting on my phone, and one of them pulled the poster up for the gig. I was like, Emer Glacken, Shea Doolan, Matt O'Reilly. And they turned around, one of them turned around the others and goes, do you know who has Boy Matt O'Reilly? Has anyone ever heard of him? I was sitting behind them.
Fucking hopeless.
They were going, I've never heard of him. Is that his real name, or is he just copying Matt O'Reilly, the Celtic player? I'm sitting behind him.
Very good.
But yeah, no, those 2 gigs, being overseas, like, again, that depends yourself. And I'm married. My wife, like, and she, a lot of women would be like, you're away again, and you're going here, going there, you're going there. But she sort of said to me before the Berlin, I was hemming and hawing because I'd been away. I know I had a trip to Santa Ponsa away to book the plane. And she, credit to her, like I'm so grateful for her. She says to me, look, when are you ever going to get these chances again? She says, take every single one on. Says you can be dead in the morning going for bed, and you want to be looking back going, I went and did that. And she's telling me, just go, take these chances and run on. Like, so I'm very, very, very grateful to have a missus like that. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Yeah. So it's interesting you're talking about these opportunities are coming up and it's kind of getting better for you and better for you. So recently you've been playing gigs and you've been playing with Gary, who is a fucking legend. You were playing with Shabin. You're doing these dudes with fucking Alan Thompson and John Hartson and stuff like that. I mean, what's that been like?
Brilliant. Like, Gary, he was class for me. I came down the gig to support him and see Mulligan's. I came down and he was down and doing a sound check, and just even wee small things like I was loading my sort of equipment in, and he was like, no, he says, use mine. Like, his speakers are like his equipment's pure top of the range. Like, my house and my wee like two wee RCF speakers. Like, cheers, Gary. Do you know what I mean? He's like, no, 100%. And when I was playing, he was doing a sound check and all for me, and he sort of says, turn this up, turn that. He did a wee sound check and just bang on sound. Funny enough, playing with Shabin, in the night of the Alan Thompson thing, I actually didn't even get to meet them. I haven't met them yet. They were on later on, and I had another gig to go to, so I actually haven't get to meet. I heard they're 2 nice boys, like, too. So I'm looking forward to meeting them properly at this Sunsea Revs festival. Get a chat with them because they're meant to be proper bang on, like. But Alan Thompson, John Hartson, they were great nights. My big brother's a mad Liverpool fan, and he said to me before, he's like, the one of his Liverpool games that still haunts him when he was younger, and I still remember, the 2-0 game where Thompson and Hartson both scored. So when Hartson scored the second, my dad, like, was steaming, like, in his face, like, yeah, you know what I mean? And he said, I was like, it's 16, 17 year olds, all I can remember is going, don't fucking smack your dad, don't hit your dad. You know what I mean? But we were talking, he's actually a priest now, he's a Catholic priest, and he was saying, like, he actually told this story in one of his sermons, obviously minus the swearing, but he was saying, like, all you think about, he was talking about, my brother and blah, blah, blah. He was relating it to something, but he was saying all you think about was don't smack your dad. But I was telling Al Thompson about this. He was in stitches. Like,
brilliant, man. Brilliant. Right, so let's talk about that. You've gave me a nice wee segue there. So I've met some of your family. I've not met the Liverpool one, and I know it breaks your dad's heart that he's a fucking Liverpool fan. Your dad being a big Celtic fan. So let's talk about you, right? So you Celtic man, all your days. That's your team. So what was your first Celtic game? What's your earliest memory? What's your best Celtic game? Who was your heroes?
So first Celtic game was 2001. I remember it was a 1-0 win against Dundee. Stan Petrel scored a header. That's my only memory. You know, it's vague in my head. Favorite player growing up was, and it was weirdly enough, like in terms of the Martin O'Neill, I had a favorite player for every year. But sort of overall, it would have to be Paul Lambert. Loved him.
Right, okay.
Absolutely loved him. I thought he was an absolute Rolls Royce. And I can remember growing up in school, like, you know, my old argument was, you know, Lambert would walk into any team in England. You know, Liverpool fans, I loved him. Oh, I loved him. Going into the Strachan era, it turned to Boric because as I was getting older, sort of, I became then a goalkeeper, you know, various teams and get into doing that. And Boric was my absolute hero. And I had to, do you remember that my favourite ever jersey was, I got Boric 1 on the back and playing like tournaments for mates. Remember that it was like dark grey and then light grey, sort of half and half. Do you remember that jersey? He wore it, the cup final where we beat Dunfermline on that, and your boy, was it Doumbé scored the winner?
Doumbé.
Jean-Pierre Doumbé.
Jean-Pierre Doumbé, wasn't it? Something like that.
That's one. And him wearing that. I can remember watching that game, and I had it on myself. Where Boric won on the back. But favorite game, I was at the Barca game, the 2-1 game. But my favorite ever Celtic game was beating Rangers 2-1. A Parkhead, Vannegar Hastling scored the winner in the last minute.
Brilliant.
The header. That was me. That's my favorite game. My favourite game, BT, probably my favourite Celtic game ever, because remember, we played them twice within the space of about a week. The next game was the 3-2 game where Barry Robson scored the penalty, bust the ball. So, but overall, I absolutely love it. Out of that Seville team, Lambert was my, and I always remember, like, I'm a big fan of that Open Goal podcast, and I love that, you know, your boy Safer, he said, tell a story where Lambert saying the reserve players, like, don't be listening out, just watch me. Just what you'll learn more watching than you'll ever learn. I fucking love it. I love that arrogance. He hasn't really done much as a manager, but as a player, absolutely sensational. Yeah.
Right, okay, let's go into the game in hand. Right, so as per, I mean, I don't know if you've listened to many of these. So basically, I'm just going to fucking hammer through basically how the lay of the land is with the current buns and who, and then we can have a wee chat about it, right? So the Huns have went into this season on the back of a UEFA Europa League final defeat and a Scottish Cup extra time win over Hearts 2-0. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst obviously was still the manager, and the summer saw a decent outlay, and somewhat more importantly, they sold some important players. Now, I spoke to young Joe Kennedy around the end of August, so let's not get into too much detail about the summer. But anyway, that was your first meeting of the season, and of course, Celtic ran out easy 4-0 winners. That win put us 5 points clear with only 6 games played. So it was already fucking a hard shift for Van Bronckhorst at that point. So Rangers would plod on, but a 2-1 defeat by St Johnstone and then ultimately a 1-1 draw away with St Mirren meant on the 21st of November, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was sacked, and a week later they replaced him with former coach Michael Beale as the World Cup came and went. To be totally fair to the Huns and him, which I don't fucking like doing, they've been as close to perfect in the league as you get. 15 league matches, 14 wins, 1 draw. That draw, obviously, the 2-2 Ibrox against ourselves. In the League Cup, he had a win over Aberdeen in extra time. It set up the final on the 26th of February at Hampden, and Celtic ran out 2-1 winners. Brilliant. And that, as it sits now, that is Michael Beale's only defeat as Rangers manager. In the Scottish Cup, narrow wins over St Johnstone, Partick Thistle, and a crushing 3-0 win over Wraith Rovers sets up a 30th of April meeting again at Hampden with Celtic. Now, former Republic of Ireland youth and current Northern Ireland midfielder Charlie McCann, left for an undisclosed fee to Forest Green Rovers, and James Sands, the USA international, had his 2-year loan cut short early, and he returned to New York City FC. Rangers picked up Todd Cantwell for £1.5 million from Norwich, and Nicholas Rankin, the Belgian under-21, was signed from Standard Liège. Both players play midfield. Right, so that kind of gives us the state of play as we sit there now. Huns are 9 points off us in second place. We've played 3 times this season. 3rd of September was the 4-0 doing. I don't really think that's relevant. No, I think that, however great that was, I don't think it's really relevant to what's going to happen this weekend. More relevant is 2nd of January, Rangers 2, Celtic 2, Maeda with an early goal, Kent equaliser, Tavernier penalty, late Kyogo goal, and then obviously we had the 26th of February, Rangers 1, Celtic 2, Kyogo with 2 goals, and Morelos pulls it back. Right, so straight away, what is your initial thoughts on this weekend? There seems to be, you've got that again, Rangers are shite, and whilst I don't think they're as good as us, I don't think they're shite, to be honest, and I don't think this will be an easy game at the weekend. But anyway, you tell me what's your initial thoughts?
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Scott. They're by no stretch of the imagination a bad football side. I think we're fortunate that we've been so good, but they are by no means so bad. You know, they have some serious players who can hurt us. I thought that Michael Beale in as good as we were at the cup game, you know, I thought Michael Beale shit the bed a wee bit in terms of his team selection. I thought he sort of went with tried and tested, where, you know, that's one good thing about Ange, he's not afraid to throw the boys into the fire. This weekend, I don't care if we had won 20 of our last 20 and they'd lost 20 of our last 20. Celtic Rangers games, form goes out the window, and it's just about who has more battle. I think them not having any fans in Parkhead this week is going to make a huge difference, because I really don't think they can cope with fans on their back, and I think it's what's cost them in the past, even with their own fans, because their own fans, when their own fans turn, you know, I don't think the players are mentally strong enough. I think key battles is, you know, Cantwell and Raskin, you know, I think them two will both start. They've given him a different dimension. Celtics, don't get me wrong, all this here, you know, I'm waxing lyrical a bit about that. I still think Celtic will win. I still think Celtic are that bit too good, you know, in key areas of the park. But I think how Celtic go about the performance will depend massively if Moy and Hatate are fit. You know, I thought Iwata looked good on Sunday. You know, McGregor in that role seems to sort of grab the game by a scruff of the neck and sort of dictates aggressively. I didn't think Iwata had that. Iwata was neat and tidy, and, you know, I thought he had great performance. There was that wee bit of something missing, that deeper. You know, and I think if that's the same on Saturday when we play them here, you know, I worry that Iwata still being that bit raw, you know, in that deeper role, you know, Raskin Cantwell get around a bit. I think that's where they would get joy, if they were to get any joy out of us. Because I prefer McGregor deeper. A lot of people prefer him further up. I prefer him deeper. But what I'm trying to say here is that I think that, you know, I think Sally will win, but it's by no means going to be an easy game. And I think if we get Hatate and Moy back, I think it'll once again it'll turn out to be more comfortable. But if them two are right, it'll be tight. But I think our quality in that key forward areas, the likes of your Kyogo, the likes of your Jota, the likes of, you know, even Maeda, you know, days of Maeda. When Maeda goes up against Tavernier, I think Tavernier prefers playing against Jota than he does Maeda. You know, in terms of, because Maeda he's that aggressive in his press. I don't think Tavernier. You watch Tavernier. He fills his trunks every time Maida, goes and presses him when they're trying to play it. So I think I'll be keen as well. But I think Celtic, it's going to be tough, but I think Celtic. Yeah.
Right, you went a wee bit mental there.
Yourself, what do you think?
You went a wee bit mental there, but
yeah.
I kind of got the gist there. Right, aye. It's interesting what you're saying. Everything you're saying makes sense. Again, the basic premise of the Celtic Rangers game for a good long while, ever since they fucking reanimated, is if we turn up on the day, we'll win. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of standard. I think we're a better team than them. But that Ibrox game and even the cup final proved that they can hurt us. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Even though the goal in the cup final I thought was a pretty crap goal to give away, in actual fact, you could even make an argument that it's a foul and it should have been pulled back. But it's by and by. It'll be interesting. Like you say, it's interesting. I expect both Moy and Hatate to play. I think the Awata one's interesting, but I think it's an argument for a different day. It's not for this weekend because McGregor looks more comfortable playing defensively. Well, not defensively, playing in that deeper role, and Moy kind of running off him, and Hatate making the chances. Right? I mean, Hatate went through a wee spell where he was losing the ball loads because he was trying. He was trying to beat guys constantly, which is, I mean, when it comes off, it's majestic. You know what I mean? I think the Awata thing's interesting because, see, the cup final, I was very critical of Moy in a defensive way. In that cup final, he stood off guys too much and he kind of allowed too many chances. But if that's not his role, then I don't know. And that's how I think down the line you might see Awata actually take a jersey. Do you know what I mean? And then McGregor or kind of, but I don't think that's an argument for today. So if we look right, so I had a gander, certainly under Beale, Rangers have either played a 4-3-3 or that abstract 4-2-3-1. Do you know what I mean? Which is, it's a kick the boys off the same formation. But you've got this Offerborth, the young boy for Bournemouth, never kicked a ball for them. Tom Lawrence, he's out for the season. Kemar Roof, out for the season. Stephen David, out for the season. I think Rabbi Matondo is due back this weekend. John Suter, he's still out. Raskin missed his national call-up, but he's expected to play, like you said. Yanis Hadji and Yilmaz are back, but I can't see. So I don't believe they'll get any suspensions either. So I think they're coming into this game as strong as you'll get them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's an argument to be had that Hadji, however, Cartwell and Raskin have looked like better players than Hadji's ever looked for Rangers, in my opinion. So we're up against the strongest. How do you think they'll set up? Because I've heard people saying it's a free hit for them. But is it a free hit? I mean, are they under mega pressure? If they lose this game, do the Huns go fucking bonkers? Do you know what I mean? It's interesting because we look at it through our narrow head that just get the job done, get the trophy fucking in the bag and all that, and then we can deal with the cup. Do you know what I mean? Because if you beat them next week, that's the league fucking done. You've killed it, stone deed. You're planning your parties. But you lose this game, you've given them impetus for that semi-final. I don't know. I'd be interested to see what they do.
I think I can see them line up. We see them line up. I think McGregor will play. I think they will line up that 4-2-3-1 that you were talking about. And I actually watched them last week there. Just the weekend past. I watched bits of it, and he seems to be building, the way he plays in terms of Ryan Kent and a bit of a free role, sort of roaming along the three behind the striker. And I think that's where he's most dangerous. I think a big criticism that their fans seemed to have of Gio was that, you know, he just kept Kent high and wide and sort of out of the way, you know, and when the ball came to you, you know, he was creating things wide, but when he comes in the pitch, I think he's so dangerous. And I mean, I get our fans all the time on Twitter and Instagram saying, "Oh, Kent, one trick pony, he's crap, he's shit." Ryan Kent's a good player. He's a good player. His numbers may not always back it up, but he's a good player. You know, I think Ran, you know, like he's cutting a lot of flack off their, you know, Malik Tillman, Malik Tillman isn't cutting flack. Malik Tillman will definitely play, but also think if John Lindstrom will play. What way they line up, because I think he'll.
Let's do that then. Why is your goat in your head? Let's do that. So in nets, McGregor's in nets. Shoot you in, right? Easy peasy. Right back, Tavernier, however you want to say it, since you've said about 14 different ways his name. Tav will be all right back. Left back. Who's left back today, Miss Redder? Barisic will be back in. Goldson will play centre half. Who's in beside Goldson this weather?
Ben Davies. Davies will play.
So I think that's pretty much shooting in. Then it comes the midfield. If they play that 4-2-3-1, is it Lundstrom and Jack straight in there again? I think so, unless or is Lund? You know, he's definitely going to play at least one of them.
One of them, purely for the reason, I think you're probably talking the middle three being one of Jack and Lundstrom, Raskin, and probably Campbell. Does that leave him a bit late? Does Campbell go wide? And does Tillman go through?
I'll be honest, see, I'd not seen enough of them. I mean, again, I watch open goal like you're saying, so I kind of take a lot of what the fucking Huns do off of what Halliday fucking says, and they seem to suggest that Cantwell isn't he that light body? He's got that dig in him, so it could. You said earlier the criticism he took for no playing Cantwell and Rankin in that semi-final. I think Lundstrom's shooting into play. I think Lundstrom's a starter, definite.
I think it'll be one of them three. Go ahead.
No, you crack on.
Yeah. I think Lundstrom will play. You know, Raskin will play, Campbell will play, Tillman will play, Kent will play, and Morelos will play. That'll be their front four, the front six in terms of, you know, in front of the back four. You know, it'll be the two holders, the three, and then the one. Although, does Morelos play? You know,
it's a very attack-minded team, isn't it?
Cholak has scored a lot of goals, but that's what I'm saying. So the likes of, if he plays Lundstrom and Jack, I think it plays in the Celtics' hands, because they'll try and stop Celtic breaking out quickly, and they may succeed, but in terms of they may succeed, you know, a large percentage of the time. But the minute that Celtic bypass those two holders, Celtic are in, you know, that way, because they're not that good in the sort of transition, sort of getting back to pitch. So I think he'll play either Jack or Lundstrom, but I don't think both of them will play. And you know, like you said, the sort of free hit element of it. If Michaelby's looking at it like that, he's maybe thinking, you know, we're 8 points behind here. We're not going to win the league. Let's go and try and get them a doing on their own pitch and maybe cast a seed it out into their mind. You know, that's maybe what he. But I think, you know, Morelos' time there is up, but looking at them, I don't really like paying them too much credence and paying them too much. I think he's a better player than Cholak, but I think Cholak is he's their man going forward. I think Morelos will leave this summer. So who plays between them two? Does he stick with who he's going to have next season, or does he give Morelos one last crack to sink us? Because you and I both know how much he hates us. Do you know what I mean?
No, I can't see them no starting Morelos, and I mean, no. Again, it touches with the Kent one. I think to use Kent's number against him's kind of disingenuous, because how many times has he won penalties that's fucking won them games this season? Do you know what I mean? Like the last, because he's committed somebody in the box, and I think Kent's a good player. I'm underwhelmed by him. I have to say, for the money they spent on him and for the ability he's got, I would, if I was a Rangers fan, I'd be a cunt. But no, but the
Sort of.
but then you'd expect more from him over a season, to be honest. But he can hurt us. I mean, as much as we say it's maybe a free hit for them, I was saying, I was watching Borussia Dortmund obviously the other night against Bayern Munich, and the two are fucking hiding, and you're sitting there kind of going, this is what I want. I want in your place. Do you know what I mean? I want Celtic to go out and kind of go, nah, fuck yous. You know what I mean? We've got this semi-final come up and we're going to fucking win. You get away with it last year, but this one, you're getting your... But I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if Celtic came out with a draw, but I'm again, that's on the premise that we've not played well. Because see, if we go back to that Ibrox game, I don't think Celtic were particularly great that day. The Greg Taylor thing showed up somewhat frailties that day. I mean, the Juranovic thing didn't work. The James Forrest thing didn't work that day. Do you know what I mean? So tell me how giant Celtic will line up then. Going with the idea that people are fit.
So going with the idea of people are fit. Going back to the Ibrox game, people talk about, the teams not in the first gear. Celtic didn't get in a neutral that day. Do you know what I mean? Celtic were rank rotten that day and still come out with a draw. The Juranovic thing's probably the only call Ange has ever made that I couldn't see the reasoning. Putting him in left back instead of Bernabe, who was sitting on the bench.
But you see that though. I mean,
but
at that point, we were rating Juranovic at 30 fucking million. He was, I mean, and he was back for the World Cup, this great World Cup, and he's sitting on the bench, and Johnson's come in, hit the ground running, and you're sitting with him on the bench, and we know he can play that position and stuff like that. So I think with hindsight allows you to kind of go, that was a daft decision. But see, to be honest right now, even Bernabe, or you had Juranovic playing left back, I'd say 9 times out of 10 people would want Juranovic playing left back, to be honest. I mean,
right, just because of his performance, you're right. You're right. Hindsight's all the time. But Celtic, assuming people are fit, Celtic will probably, for me, Celtic line up strongest. Hart, left back Taylor, right back Johnson, centre half Carter Vickers and Starfelt, middle 3 Hattadi, McGregor, Moy, Jota, Maida, and Kyogo. That's the strongest team.
Kind of standard, there's no difference there. There's no difference. I mean, your only argument at one point in this season was Abada play over Maeda, but Maeda come back for the World Cup and he's made himself a fucking starter every week, isn't he? I mean,
big handsome Matt is he's coming off for Boyle big time.
For Boyle as well. Yeah.
But no, that's Celtic play that team, and Celtic get anywhere near the heights they've hit this year. Saturday shouldn't be a problem. But my dad always said, I've been watching too long. They've let me down that many times. I've been watching too long. There's too many things you're given, and I sort of adapted that mentality this year.
Oh, aye. I always go with pessimist side to kind of offset any disappointment that might arrive my way. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, if we play like we did on Sunday, then we could be causing ourselves a hell of a lot of problems. We seem very wasteful on Sunday, and that's not been a thing since the World Cup. It's quite the opposite. We've been fucking clinical. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Even Ange, Ange doesn't really say much on the side. He sort of said as much in an interview that he sort of lets the players go and do what he's instructing, but he watched him and say, the camera's panning to him, he's going off his nut, he's going mad, and you never really see that out of him. He's going off his mad because the passing was slack as anything. But Dingwall's always hard. It's a terrible pitch. It's Ross County playing 110, and it's just an awful place to play football. But and the game, Ralston's last minute winner proved that was one of that was one of the stressful games of football I've ever watched. That's about it. But anytime I watch us play, it's always the likes of Dingwalls, your rugby parks with plastic pitch, whenever they asked for the top flight, Charlie Mulgrew made that mistake, and just them pitches are terrible. They're the most stressful games of football to watch.
Right, okay. We'll wrap it up for there. So before we go, give me a wee prediction.
Celtic 2-0. 2-0.
Take it right now.
Yep.
Take it right now. Right, Matt, thanks for taking the time out today. I know you've got football training later on, getting back in there. But before we go, tell everybody where they can follow you on social media and tell us about your gigs coming up.
So this Sunday for anyone listening, or this weekend for anyone listening from Belfast, I'm playing Nancy Mulligan's every night from Good Friday right through to Easter Monday. Playing the PD straight off the Celtic and Rangers game on Saturday. I've got anyone that give Sunsea Rebs a plug, playing Sunsea Rebs Festival in Santa Ponsa on the 5th and 6th of June. It's a 5-day festival. Got some brilliant acts on, so I'll be there. Anyone haven't got a ticket yet, get your tickets off Left Wing Badges. Yeah, that's where I just getting away. You can find me in Belfast. I'm on Instagram, Matt O'Reilly Irish Musician, and on Twitter, Matty401, Matt O'Reilly. So you can find me there, see all my gig posting, see all my videos, and see my general nonsense that I'm posting as well about Celtic.
And what is it? You're a lager drinker for anybody coming in if they want to fire a couple of wee drinks up?
yeah. To my shame and the shame of family, I'm a Tennent's drinker, so any Tennent's kicking about, take it off you.
Outstanding. Well, Matt, thank you very much for taking your time. Thanks for helping me out. Good luck with everything in the future, and I really look forward to seeing you in May for a fantastic day.
Yes, mate. Look forward to seeing you, brother. Thank you very much.
See you, mate.